the question is, can FSU make the playoffs? Like, of course they can. It's week 0, but it's not going to be easy. I don't think their strength of schedule might, like, if they don't win the ACC, their strength of schedule might not be enough to get one of those like 6 to 8 seeds when you
Right.
have all the teams in the SEC, all the teams in the Big Ten who are going to have those type of schedules, who are going to like have maybe 2 or 3 losses. Do you look at a team that doesn't win? Like if Ohio State wins the Big Ten, Oregon is going to have probably 2 or 3 losses as well. And if it's FSU and Oregon looking at their schedules, who are you going to put into the playoff?
Right.
Like you're going to put in Oregon. But I think they have to win the ACC to get into the playoff. They're going to have to beat Miami. They're going to have to beat Clemson.
Yeah.
To get into the playoff. They go to SMU, which is not, I mean, SMU didn't look great week 0, but going to SMU is not going to be easy. So I think to get into the playoff, FSU has to win the ACC.
I agree. I think the problem for FSU is they just put a ton more pressure on them for the remaining of the season after the first game, which is not good. I just think like for FSU now, you have to look at like Miami, Clemson, and Virginia Tech the rest of the season. That's who they're banking on pretty much to not, like you said, if Miami or Clemson wins the ACC and Virginia Tech maybe surprises some people, has some big wins. If Clemson's good, that's not like Florida State has. I mean, that's not good at all. Like they have really nothing to go for after that. I know you broke down some of the games or mentioned them, but if you want to quickly, let's like go through their
we
schedule.
can look at their schedule.
Yeah, so they have next week they play Boston College at home. Hopefully, that's a bounce back game. And then they have Memphis at home. That's an interesting game. A lot of these games that we're going to see too are what should be wins now after the Georgia Tech game are going to be like, well, we don't know. Like, what are they going to look like? But then they have a stretch which starts with Cal. They have Cal at home, and then, like you said, they go to SMU. I know we said that SMU didn't look great, but still, that's on the road. Then they have Clemson at home, Duke on the road, Miami on the road, and then North Carolina at home, and then they go to Notre Dame.
Yeah, that's a tough stretch.
That's a rough stretch for the pressure they put on themselves week 1. And again, a lot of those teams are ones that they kind of need to not do as well in the ACC, like a Clemson, like a Miami.
And even at Duke, it's a 7 p.m. game at Duke. It's going to be a night primetime game. It's not, I mean, obviously they should beat Duke, but that's not a give-me game. Like, they have to show up.
No, they definitely added those trap games now became increasingly more difficult and a lot more important, so they can't really take many weeks off at all. So, looking at the schedule, again, that stretch from Cal all the way to Notre Dame, that is rough. And they really, really got to figure out, again, some form of an offense identity and defensively, really. I mean, they like you said, like the running and just the line of scrimmage, like Georgia Tech really controlled the tone of that game, and they got to really figure themselves out. And again, the question is, will FSU make the playoffs? I think they have the capability of making it. I mean, players and coaching staff. It's just they have to really put the pieces together here down from week 2 all the way to the end. Because, go ahead.
No, I think if they lose 3 games, I don't think they get in.
I don't think they do either. Because again, like you said, there's going to be teams in the Big Ten, in the SEC, or in other conferences that, like, you have to think there's going to be teams that have 1 loss, maybe some undefeated teams this year. You never know. So again, they made that margin of error so much thinner than it needed to be after week 1. And
they have to beat Clemson and they have to beat Miami if they want to be in the playoff.
Yeah. Those are like must wins now, which are tough must wins, especially Miami's on the road. And then Clemson, like, we don't know what they're going to look like, but again, that could be a tough team to play this year. So again, that's interesting. I think that's overall the take of the game was no one was really expecting that. Again, Georgia Tech, kudos to them, hats off to them. Huge week 1 victory, but man, FSU, a lot of question marks moving forward, and interesting to see how they bounce back, how they respond, and if it is just going to be a fold-up collapse season. We'll see.